Hello and welcome to Edumate Tv. I'm Chetan. We learn to live and live to learn in what has turned out to be an unprecedented situation, an unprecedented pandemic, with history being written across the geography of Mother Earth. And a minor virus has created a major catastrophe, making each and every one of us rewind, rethink, reset, reformat, reboot, re-strategize before we rebuild. Rebuild a new future, rebuild a new normal. In the world of education, those at the helm of affairs in policy making require one trait: to be able to overcome the challenges, find solutions, and not just that, even create opportunities. And that is the trait of wisdom. Wisdom emanating from past experience, knowledge, and wisdom to be able to expect and anticipate, to embrace and evolve into the new normal. And to do that, we've got a very wise minister. And today, we have a very special guest from Manipur. We've got the Minister of Education, Labour and Employment, Mr. Thokchom Radheshyam Singh. What a pleasure to have you, sir, on Edumate Tv.
Thank you so much.
You have been, a signature in whatever you've done. I've had the fortune of interviewing you a few months back in Delhi, and I remember your thoughts then. They were so full of farsight and foresight, extremely futuristic. And I remember one key takeaway, and that was when you said that why can't we get India into Bharat and not the other way around? Why can't we get the urban institutions of repute into the villages of our country? I wanted to elaborate a little bit on that for our viewers on Edumate Tv.
See, I'll take the example of Manipur. Within Manipur, people living in the rural area, they migrate for getting education in the urban areas. And likewise, from the states in the northeast, we go to the cities like Delhi, Bangalore, Kolkata, Mumbai, and all for education. So if we can have a situation, if we can prepare where the people from urban areas, from cities, they come to places like Manipur, Nagaland, Sikkim, Jammu Kashmir and all, and within the state also, from the towns and cities, they go to the urban areas where you have peaceful life, the atmosphere, the climate is good, people are good, environment is good, and you have the Indian way of education, the olden time education, what we call it, a GURUKUL system type. So that way, if we can have that philosophy, that principle, that value system, along with the modern infrastructure in the rural areas, then as I said, we can have that vision achieved.
It's a brilliant thought, and it's a vision which seems somewhat utopian at times, and right. Particularly there's a bit of cynicism when, to be honest, when politicians, but of course you're reputed, speak about a vision. It excites us as citizens. However, when we see that falling short with regularity, then it also disappoints us. So it's important to understand how far you have been in achieving this brilliant vision.
We actually started focusing on rural areas in Manipur. We started one project called Improvement of Schools. Not only the infrastructure, but a holistic approach. The most important is the teachers. We wanted to make teachers gurus. In Sanskrit, guru means gu means darkness. Ru means dispensing that darkness. So a teacher has to have three aspects in him. He or she has to be an institution in himself or herself. Like three things we look in a guru. One is your conduct, that we call it achar in Sanskrit.
Yes.
Then you have vichar, then is your ideology, your decision making. Then third one is vyavhar. These three things the student, the Shisha learns from the guru without teaching, by seeing, by observing. Seeing is learning. Those three aspects in most of our teachers, they give knowledge and skill, but those three aspects are lacking in many of the teachers. For training, we want to inculcate, we want to include this aspect, and we have started. And with this, in the rural areas, under the mission of School Bhagalansi, Improvement of Schools, we have identified 60 schools in 60 constituencies in Manipur. We started, but unfortunately, because of the COVID, it is in the halfway we started, and we are not able to continue properly. We are waiting for improvement of this COVID situation. But as you have in your opening remark, you have said we are fighting with an enemy which is unknown. But the one plus point is, every problem has to have a solution. Every problem comes with a solution. So we have to find a solution. We need guidance and mentoring from people like you who are working there, who takes a lot of interest in improving the education system throughout the country.
Well, thank you. We are here to support you at every step, Mr. Minister. It's interesting that you mentioned about skilling, because I will come to the COVID issue in a bit, but I just want to complete the thought and the circuit. Because from my understanding, and we at Edumate, we believe that one also needs to educate to employ. And when you educate to employ, employability is very critical. And for a minister like you, who've got three portfolios, not just of education, but of labor and employment, it's so critical to complete the circuit. So how are you doing that?
Very recently, we had a consultation meeting with the Education Department, the Skill Ministry in my department. We identify the emerging areas in Manipur, and there are around maybe 8,000 students who have come back from other parts of the country because of COVID. Cities, they were working in BPOs, call centers, and the employees who were working outside the state. We have identified the areas where they were working, and we are trying to upgrade their skills. We also survey the market in Manipur. What are the areas where we can put them? And you see, a market is all about demand and supply. We have to see what are the emerging areas where we have to provide skill and education. And the subjects which are dying down, we should do away with from the colleges and schools. And the areas where there is relevance and also demand is there, we are identifying and we are trying to include in the syllabus and also in the skill development training in these areas. That's how we are working. And for the students who have come back, they will not go. They are not going to go out. In the midway, they have come back. And normally, Manipur must be the one state which sends out per capita, if you calculate, maximum number of students for studies, right from the school to the higher studies. Yes. The education is very dear to the people of Manipur. At times, the people, they sell out their plot of land to send to educate their children outside. So they are not going to go out. So a big challenge for us to develop the infrastructure and also to provide quality education. Accordingly, we are working on it. So right now, as it is, already we have an unemployment problem. Right. People coming back here, additional problem, and people who wants to go out for employment, they will not be going. It's a big problem for us, but every problem has got a solution. Gradually, with consulting with experts, we will try to find solutions. We're working on it.
Here's a thought, because you were asking me for inputs. Let me just give you my 2 pence. The Northeast, of course, for all its wonderful, its character building, one thing that stands out is language.
Right.
A sense of honesty, and a sense of earnestness, and also in presentation skills, which makes them really relevant to front office jobs. That's why you see them, they'll be all there in the hospitality industry. Now that industry is taking a back seat, of course. However, it throws open an opportunity in an online world for training, because a large part of the country is devoid of communication skills. So maybe that's an opportunity, just a thought for you to consider, because I do remember in my conversation with Minister Along of Nagaland, he brought up the same problem, that now because so many people are returning to the state, employing them is a challenge, and you can't build infrastructure overnight. It's going to take time. So just a quick word then, in case you can implement one of these aspects of training, you require a very robust digital infrastructure. So how well are you equipped for that, for normal education as well as training purposes? Constantly,
we are organizing the consultation meetings. Our teachers, then the officers in the different departments, they are working very hard, and they are also in touch with the ministries at the center, and also the people, private companies, how we can through online, how we can use human resources here in Manipur. That is why we need more interaction online, to bridge up the gap if in any other part of the country, if there is requirement for online, employment of people from the Northeast. then we are ready, and we have been doing it, and we are preparing for it.
Now let's come to the big C, the COVID. I mean, it's obviously taken each and every one of us by surprise, by shock, and we're all trying to cope up with it in our own ways. Tell us the unique challenges for Manipur, which you found. And more importantly, I know you've always been a sharp learner. You've got a sharp wit and a very strong mind. What have been the big learnings?
COVID is, you also said, and I also said, it's we are like in a war, world war, and the enemy is unknown. Now we are fighting with it, and we have to learn to live with it. In Manipur, in most of the northeast states, including Manipur, infrastructure in health sector is not very good. We are managing with the schools, colleges, and other community centers where we open quarantine centers. So we have geared up the community centers, halls, the schools and colleges. We are running it with many volunteers. They come out. In Manipur, problem is more than 90% of the cases are from outside.
Why
Once
is
people coming from outside is over, we'll be able to control it. One big plus point in Manipur is so far we haven't had any casualty. There is any case of death so far, and the recovery rate is more than 62%.
Congratulations on that achievement, and I hope it just stays that way. I think one of the things also to add to the reasons and analyses, because we all need to learn from everywhere, is you're naturally bestowed with a sparse population as opposed to other parts of India, the entire northeast, and the topography also can be a little challenging. So there's a natural social distancing, as opposed to which comes to your advantage. But to overcome that, you also had a head start to build up a strong digital infrastructure. I'm going to come to that point because it's so critical for Manipur to be able to market itself, not just to India, but to the world. Because you have every single trait apart from perhaps the infrastructure point. And digital infrastructure can overcome physical infrastructure. So what is your plan there and how well are you placed?
We have IT department, information and technology department. They are in constant touch with other companies. Every department is working on this online system, digital kind of infrastructure, and we are progressing and we are picking up. But big problem in Manipur is, the difficult remote areas in the hills. 92% of the land in Manipur, as you are aware, is hills and mountains.
Yes.
And the communication system is not very good. And one of the challenges, again, there are 34 recognized tribes. They have separate dialects. In the lower class, if I come to education system, in the primary sector, it's a big challenge because we have to teach them in their own dialect. So when we are talking about urban areas, in the cities and urban areas, even we don't have proper digital infrastructure. Now reaching out to the difficult areas, remote areas is a big challenge, but nevertheless, with the help of companies from outside, we have started reaching out to the remote areas also. The government is preparing, working hard to solve this problem.
The first thing that comes to mind is, first of all, the big private companies which are expanding their wings. And even now they're tying up with overseas companies, whether it's the Reliances or the Bhartis or even Vodafone. The first thing that comes to mind is, first of all, the big private companies which are expanding their wings. And even now they're tying up with overseas companies, whether it's the Reliances or the Bhartis or even Vodafone. Everybody's working, double time now because this is the hugest opportunity for them ever. So perhaps, obviously, I'm sure you would also be in communication with them. But have you at least worked on making Manipur attractive enough for them to come? Because that's always the first question that comes to any investors at mind. Everybody's working, double time now because this is the hugest opportunity for them ever. So perhaps, obviously, I'm sure you would also be in communication with them. But have you at least worked on making Manipur attractive enough for them to come? Because that's always the first question that comes to any investors' mind.
Manipur, as it is very attractive. Now, last 3-4 years, a law and order problem has been improved. There are no incidents of insurgency-related crimes, and people have started coming. And through your channel, I'd like to request and make an appeal to all the big multinational companies to visit Manipur, to work with Manipur. We would do whatever we can for people who wants to invest and who wants to help assist Manipur. But every part of the body is important. We cannot say this part is more important. So Manipur, being a very important part of the big country, the great country, Bharat, people should also come and share their experience and also their resources so that we can contribute in making India a superpower and a greater country.
Well, I assure you on my part and the part of Edumate.tv, we will spread your message as far and wide as we can. I want some of your inputs on policy making. Now, of course, this has been an unprecedented time, not just for us as citizens, it's been for the government as well. So we understand, that the need to be patient, the need to recognize, how dynamic this situation is. But at some stage, and I ask you this not just as a politician, but also as an education minister, there seems to be a lot of conflicting signals coming from center, from state, as to various issues, whether they be in examinations, scrapping of examinations, online education, parenting, stress management, fee structure, curriculum, wise minister. And as I said, this is an evolving process. But that having been said, are you satisfied? Because the last thing that you need, Radheshyam ji, is confusion. You don't need confusion. You need certainty, and you need one unanimity in thinking. Now, you may be right or wrong, because that's fine. That's the risk one's got to take. You want to be right because with good intent, but confusion is something that really, despairs. More than repair.
We look forward to the guidelines from the center, and in some areas based on the guidelines, we also take decisions. Examination, as you have rightly pointed out, it's a very important area. In Manipur, fortunately, we conducted all the exams on time from class 1 to 12, and we declare all the results in Manipur. And now we are working on online exam system. We just started learning how in future, you see, every problem is an opportunity. We never knew such kind of situation will come. So education is a journey from unknown to known, and we have to prepare our young minds for the future, which is unknown. It's a great challenge for us. Now, this situation is an opportunity. In case similar situation comes up, now this digital the technology is going to be very important. We cannot live without technology. It cannot be the substitute, but without it, we cannot live now, because any kind of situation may arise. There is a saying, if you cannot clarify, you confuse people. Yeah. But we never confuse, we try to have a very clear idea. We have prepared a syllabus in our schools and colleges. Then even we also thought of, when we have exams, whether should we have it open book exams. We prepare study materials, then assignment solutions. We also give some curricular activities, some recitation, painting competition. When the schools are open, they prepare and debating and all. When they come back, we organize it so that we keep them engaged. Then how the parents can engage, how the teachers can engage in. If there is a teacher in a locality, how he can engage the students in a community hall by observing social distance, by using loudspeaker. We are, making some kind of innovative ideas. The teachers are very creative. We are working on it. So it's not an easy task, but we are very prepared. We take the right decision. Decision making is very important for the leaders and also people who are in the corridor of power and who are in the decision-making bodies.
Indeed, it's very reassuring just to hear your sense of and your reflection on creativity and on care. I think both are so critical in times like these. And also, it's actually a portrait of the politician, because if you can't clarify, you confuse. So it brought a smile on my face. But one thing that's required, Mr. Minister, when you have to bring in clarity, it has to be an SOP. What you need is a standard operating procedure for everything. The
Right.
moment you've got that, you've got a large part of it correct, because just for the sense of discipline. So what have you done on that account? Whether it's for a school or a college or a mall or whatever, you need an SOP.
We have completed, we have prepared an SOP. As I said, we have had series of consultation. A final consultation meeting was held in the convention center by maintaining social distance. The student unions, the retired principals and of colleges and VCs, then the education experts, our own staff, the teachers, the school leadership, the parent. So different views with different situations, like if it is open in September, how should we go about it? All those things we have prepared, and it is ready now for Manipur. We will finalize. We are waiting for the guidelines from the center.
As we move towards the end of our interview, I'd like you to give your piece of advice from your learnings, and they've obviously been several, to 4 sections of the education ecosphere. A, the student; B, the parent; 3, the teacher; and 4, the education institution head, whether it's the vice chancellor, the chancellor, or the educator.
Why we educate is to lead a meaningful life and also to let others lead a meaningful life. That is why that preparation is called education. So every parent, every student, every teacher, every school leadership should know that we have to prepare a social animal into a good human being. That has to be the purpose. How we prepare is that by making them curious, to asking them why this is happening, how it is happening, when it is happening, what has been happening. So that they become creative and innovative. Many of the students, because of the parent, because of the education system, because of the school leadership, because of the principals and VCs, because of people like me, that they are like, pressure cookers. They have stopped, thinking. Thinking is the best gift given to the humankind by the Almighty God. This is the opportune time that we interact more with the student and teachers, the parent. So they have to know what problems they face, how they wanted to react. We have to come together and also see the interest of the student, and we should look for the future. The magic word has to be relevance. Whatever we do has to be relevant for future. Future is dark. So we have to train them to know the future. My advice, my appeal, request to every parent, every teacher, every school head, principal, VC is that let us make our young minds think and think and think. Let us inspire, ignite, and bring change in them. Let us make them curious. Let them all the time ask why COVID? How is COVID? Likewise, let them keep asking. Formal or informal. If you keep educating our children, not only making them literate, preparing them to become a good human being, to face the life challenges of life. Life is the best school, and experience is the best teacher, as I found through my journey of life. So far, many things we didn't learn, we were never taught, we get in through our experience. Our parents and teachers, they should not be very demanding, rather they should try to help them. When they fall, we should support them. If they fall down, we pull them up. And in himself or herself, the child, the student have everything there. But what we are teaching them how to grow, how to, in the process, many students and minds are committing suicide in India. That is why we should stop. We should not pressurize our young minds. Let them grow freely. That is my appeal, request.
It's always such a pleasure listening to you and engaging with you yet again. You just slipped in your age, by the way, when you were talking to me, and you certainly don't look it. My compliments for that. But that does invoke curiosity for me. So, Mr. Minister, I'd like you to end off with telling us what makes Thokchom Radheshyam Singh so special. Tell us a little bit about your life and about your own journey.
I'm not special, but I'm not special. I'm a normal person. I keep learning, and I love learning from my mistakes. My passion is helping people, any opportunity, any moment, I want to be a source of joy for others. I want to be a caregiver. That is how I enjoy my life. Working with people, talking to people, advising them, or anytime, any moment, if I can be of any help. You never know when you'll go, and we are all limited editions. So I said every moment is very precious for me, and every moment I enjoy by helping people.
And that's exactly what makes you so special. Well, I often say to deal with this big sea of COVID, you require several C's. And Mr. Minister, you seem to have reflected each of those C's. You've been contemporary, you've been creative, you've been exceptionally caring, you've shown clarity, curiosity, and you've invoked a sense of critical thinking. That having been said, in your own words, education is moving from the unknown to the known. Well, I never unknown you. I knew you a little now, and I've known you a little better. And it's been such a pleasure to keep knowing more and discover more of you. Thank you for being our wise minister.
We need more channels, your programs like yours, for reaching out to the places like Manipur and difficult areas. It's a great pleasure for me to be talking to people like you, and it's an opportunity for me. Thank you so much.